Let's get high. Let's get high. Let's get high. Let's get high. Let's get high.
Read the Bible.
Let's get high.
Pretty fancy,
Let's get
huh?
high. Let's get high.
I might be going a little bit too heavy on the edibles and making these fucking intros. Huh? Number 6, bitches.
Let's get high.
Are you ready?
Let's get high.
We talk about some of the weirdest gigs of all time. We mess up a whole lot of geography. Talk about hot topic bands, Jankos, and the like. I smoke shit tons of weed, and so my face gets a little droopy. Please forgive me for that. Geoff gets emo at the end. We talk about how Van Halen is really a psychedelic church. And we talk a lot about the weird fear and guilt placed in you as a teenager from churches on the topic of masturbation. That is towards the end, so you can fucking skip that shit if you want. Speaking of which, here we go.
Up on Orcas Island with his auntie, his cousin, and his uncle. He gets back on Saturday, when luckily we will be gone. Not ideal, but I got that gig.
Yeah.
We're gonna be playing the Strawberry Festival on Vashon Island Saturday.
That sounds fucking cool.
Playing a gig sounds cool.
Right.
Yeah. Middle of the day, 70 degrees, not 90 degrees. That sounds pretty cool too.
Cool. I gotta fix my headphones. 1 second.
I can hear shit. You cannot hear shit.
I fucked up.
You done fucked up again.
What's the hottest weather you've ever played a gig in?
I don't know. Probably one of the first things the New American Shame did was in an outdoor festival in Florida.
Oh shit!
But probably not, because that was probably like April, so it couldn't have been that hot. I don't really remember. Colorado in the summer.
Oh god!
It wasn't that it was hot; it's just that the altitude.
So high up, yeah.
You're like, I'll be fine. I'll have a few beers, and then I get 2 songs in. You're like, can I have some oxygen, please?
Right?
Yeah, it was strenuous for sure.
Yeah, it's like you get to the second song and you realize how out of shape you are. You had no idea.
You're not acclimated. Yeah.
So
it's like, oh, this is different. There's less fuel in every breath I take. And if I take as many breaths as it takes to keep up, I'm going to hyperventilate and pass out.
Right.
So the choice is mine. It's going to be a lackluster show, people.
Right. And the fucking last time we were there?
Yeah.
Do you know that guy? What's that guy?
Jesus.
Yeah, soon. Let's look at the Bible. That Walker in Memphis. Who does that song?
More, please.
Walking with my feet 10 feet off a barrel. I was walking in Memphis.
Scott Stapp?
I guess I'm not singing it like him. It's like an 80s. You hear it a lot in like dentist office and shit.
Oh, well, I don't go to the dentist, so that's probably why
Yeah,
I've heard of it. Not true, I do. I started.
I forgot. It was a sizable hit, but so we had played this show, and it was like the weirdest gig I've ever played. It was so weird that while we were finishing our set, like the club had been so shitty, and the owner and the sound guy and everyone had been so shitty that all 3 of the band's tour managers just came up to us and were like, just break everything. And so we like
In the club? Yeah. No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we went nuts. Like I think I peed on stage. Like all 3 of the bands.
You mean on purpose?
Yeah. I just turned around and all the mic, everyone just trashed. We threw all the pizza everywhere because they didn't pay anyone. They right at the end of the night, they were like,
sorry.
No, we're going to take this. And, these are all bands on labels and stuff too. So
Right.
it was
And so, what was this in Colorado?
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of the
Can
club.
Can you turn you down a little bit?
Check
That's better. Just
You
stop
feel
yelling.
good?
Just stop yelling, man.
Yeah, it was clipping, so I probably sounded like a Nine Inch Nails album there for a minute.
Like a hole. Like a die. Oh my god. Oh my god. Briefly,
Yeah.
I've been going back and forth with my friend Geoff Allen about how horrible a singer Billy Corgan is. He seems to think there's redeeming quality after Gish, and obviously he's wrong.
You don't like Siamese Dream?
Oh, Jesus, what the fuck is wrong with people? I think if you just listen to his version of Landslide, it almost negates Gish. But I can't, I think, yeah, I'm mostly being facetious, but
No,
Landslide, I heard like 2 bars of it. I was like, I think there's shit in my ears. I think there's poison in my ears. Like I'm like, what? I think I barfed shit into my ears. Thanks, Billy.
See, but like, his guitar solos are so rad. His guitar tone's so rad for how horrible it is. And that fucking Jimmy Chamberlain, like those, like all those beats are so fucking sick.
Yes.
And like those riffs, like,
yeah,
so fucking filthy.
That's great. Then there's the part where there's the singing, and I just honestly get the feeling it's not dissing his singing. I feel like he's like, well, I'm going to do as little as I can.
I think that's just what he has to work with.
We've made it, so I don't have to double track the vocals anymore. I don't really have to. We don't have to put any effects on my voice. I know I'm not the greatest singer, but they love me. and that's what I just find it a little abrasive to my ear.
I wonder if I can. I don't think I can say the name, but one of our buddies. Do you remember when Guitar Center did the cattle call to be the drummer of Smashing Pumpkins?
Yeah.
One of our friends actually won that.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and jammed with them for like 2 weeks in this hangar.
Right.
Yeah, and
it's our guy, right?
I don't want to name him.
The guy who had all the gigs, right? Didn't he also end up in like Nine Inch Nails for a minute?
I think so. Yeah, he's been. How many? Yeah,
Like
I'm gonna
Third Eye
say his
Blind?
name, and then yeah, we were both in that thing.
Oh, you were. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
Well, I mean,
we can't-
you've already said his name once earlier.
I'm just gonna blurt it out. Yeah, he's amazing, but
He's a phenomenal drummer.
Dude, yeah, he's the weirdest, raddest human I've ever met. All the clothes he owns, he just gets from parks. He would run 10 miles.
He finds on the ground.
Like, seriously, dude. Seriously. And to all of us, he was this enigma because he was like, he'd already been in a bunch of bands that were signed, and none of us. And he was like, every night he's the same,
Yeah.
But he would run 10 miles before we played a show and 10 miles after, and and he writes and writes and writes and writes. But
He's very awesome.
so Billy Corgan goes at the end of 2 weeks, and it's all sensitive songs. They're not rocking at all, and
Right. The fuck.
it's like trying to play soft.
Tap into emotion.
Right?
Right.
I'm like, I guess
Tap into emotion. Yeah.
So he at the end of this he goes, so why do you want to be in Smashing Pumpkins?
Only it was like this. Why do you want to be in Smashing Pumpkins? Let's not give him your God voice. Come on, he doesn't have that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking shit about his singing. Come on, let's keep it honest here at least.
Yeah, okay.
Why do you want to be in Smashing Pumpkins? Oh dear.
It's funny.
I'm gonna hear about it from Billy.
I think he's probably cool. I used to follow his blog a lot. He talks about
Yeah.
cats all the time.
That's cool. He liked Rush, so.
Dude, I'm
Anyway, wait. Don't. Why do you want to be in Smashing Pumpkins? What was the
just
answer?
like, yeah, that was the last day he jammed with him.
Billy didn't get the response he was looking for. The emotional commitment.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
we're dating now. Why do you want to be my boyfriend?
Dude, you make me laugh so hard that I just clip the fuck out of this shit.
That's positive.
Yeah, I
It
guess.
could be worse. It could be the opposite. My mic is not nearly loud enough.
So funny. How do I make this bigger? I want to make it.
Don't we all?
full Screen.
No, don't. Just don't be. I'm fine. No, I didn't mean it like that.
I'm doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to hear the weirdest fucking story though ever? But we will have to cut this out probably.
Okay, but hold on. Before you do that, you said the shitty gig where you wrecked the place.
Oh yeah, let's
Oh, look at that wide angle.
Is that better? Oh no, I probably want to do
Yeah,
something like this.
yeah. That's handsome.
I
like
want to
that.
be fucking full screen.
We were in what's across the Mississippi River from where the Mississippi River is? What's the city that's on the west side of the Mississippi River down in the south? It's like
Memphis?
the other one.
Oh, is it Tennessee on the other side?
Maybe it's Tennessee. I don't know. One of those old southern cities we were in, and we pull up to this. We were in a van, but we were with two other bands who were like you're talking about. They're like giant, like the longest tour bus you'd ever seen. And it wasn't Chlorine, but it was one of those bands, one of those late 90s, like quasi new metal,
Power
whatever.
Man 5000?
Not more conspicuous than that.
Monster Magnet?
Oh, that'd have been great. No, those are rock bands. This is like the guys with the guys who were just barely not Marilyn Manson. There were those like alt bands that were like all of a sudden had like half blonde, half black, and guy liner and whatever.
Fucking Hot Topic bands, right?
They were Hot Topic bands.
Okay, yeah.
And so like this bus is getting stuck in the alley behind this club, and we load in, and the stage is literally not as big as the front lounge in this giant bus. It's the smallest stage you've ever seen. That's actually a stage, and the guy won't strike his drum set.
Oh yes.
All right. There's one light. There was like a dynamic. I imagine that this light was not unlike the thing you shot in your parents' living room with the bow and arrow.
Okay.
It's that thing with four lights on it, and there was like a fan that had some colored scrims on it or whatever, and that was the lighting system. And we walk in, and there's no cold beer, there's no refrigeration. The owner's like, "Gentlemen, what you got here is a real live shithole." That was our introduction. And it's like, oh, and dude, like seriously, like his drum set barely fit on the stage, and he wouldn't strike it. He wouldn't strike, not just for me, but for anyone. So it's like it was just the dumbest thing.
Like you
anyway.
set up on the side because there's only like a foot for the lead singer to stand.
Right. Yeah. Anyway.
You wanted the best.
Well, they couldn't make it.
Yeah. Just walks away from the bike.
Yeah.
Those stories though are rad.
Yeah. Well, that's
McDuff.
McBob.
Oh, did I just say McDuff? I'm
Yeah.
smoking two different weeds right now.
Yeah. McBob. That's
yeah, it's his dude.
He should be getting royalties for that. But I guess he's a hired guy.
Cool. Yeah, he's got kind of a cool life, doesn't he?
Well, the part where he broke his neck probably sucked, and then he got cancer, and that wasn't that great. But he lived, and he's still touring around with Guns N' Roses. So yeah, sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah, he's really nice. I only met him that once.
I mean, if you like grumpy McGrumpertons.
I do.
I've never met anyone who suffers fools worse.
Oh man.
Worsely, who is more lacking in the ability to suffer a fool than Mr. McBob. But boy, he's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that guy. Love you,
Yeah.
McBob. Yeah.
I gotta do this.
Yeah. You don't have to.
Dude, here's the deal, like
The Cylon Warrior look is a good look.
I get like pretty fucking nervous, to be honest, doing these things.
Don't do that.
And like well,
Try
Guilt.
indica. Try indica.
Yeah, that's what I've been pounding. That's the deal.
Right.
Yep.
Relax, dude.
I'm kid free. I can
Oh,
smoke
nice.
in my house.
Yeah.
It's just like, but the concepts and the ideas and the theologies, I guess you would say, in this
Yeah.
book are so deeply rooted in me in this weird, like, kind of almost like whip yourself in the back.
Self-flatulating.
Yeah, right? Guilt, like.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah.
And so they always hit a weird chord that I always, like, in my heart and my soul and my life that I think I've, like, been able to really understand or deal with, but I haven't. And it was kind of unfortunate because, like, it kind of made me, I don't want to say hate all Christians, but for a long time it made me, like, hate Christians. And I was kind of like, I read the Book of Satan a bunch, and I read all these different weird religious books, and then I met Christians who were more balanced. This country band I played in, I met all these guys that were, like, good, awesome human beings that were Christians, and I was like, oh, I grew up in kind of, like, my experience with it is kind of an abusive one, and it's, hard to judge anything by its abuse. So,
Right. Well, just like everything else, you figure every other faction, it's a spectrum, and there are going to be people on the far right and the far left and the middle, and when you say you read the Book of Satan, so are there gospels? What does that look like? I don't know about the.
Reads exactly like Proverbs. It's literally the Bible. It's like this. It's like, work your butt off, do good, do really good. Everyone around you, do good. If anyone fucks with you, eat their heart. It's like
Is it really like that?
Yeah, there's, like, some verses in there that are like,
Literally?
I mean, yeah, like if someone goes against you, like, go
Smite
against
them?
them with all your power. Like, did you ever read Ender's Game?
No.
Oh man, it's so cool. It's about this little kid, and it's in the future. And he's getting, the very first chapter, he's getting beat up by this huge bully, and he realizes that if he doesn't defeat this bully completely, if he doesn't scare him, if he doesn't freak him out about his life, that bully's going to come back with 3 more bullies tomorrow, and it's going to continue forever. And so this little kid has to figure out a way to just, like, annihilate this bully. And so that's kind of what I always was, when I was reading the Book of Satan, I'd see those passages, like, it's like,
Oh man.
but everything else is like kind,
Well, that's sort of how I grew up. Not worshiping Satan necessarily, but
I don't know if I'm a Satan worshiper. I definitely wouldn't say that.
well, but in my head, like the only time I ever got in a fight in my whole life was with my brother. Okay. And that you're not going to kill him, but it's like I worried that, well, if I get mad enough to fight someone, don't I have to? I mean, what if I kill them, or what if they, like, aren't they going to want to kill me, or isn't it going to be kill or be killed? If it gets to the point where I always worried about that, and I'd never ever got in a fight, and then I used to have dreams about punching people in the face over and over again.
But you can't do it. There's no power to it.
Oh no, it was powerful. I was beating the shit out of people, but then I saw MMA for the first time, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's what like, I don't know if I don't want to get punched in the face ever, but I think I've been punched in the face once, and it was a really good experience to know that you can live through that.
Yeah.
But and I think that that's one of the things that I really like about mixed martial arts is that they turn it on, they turn it off. They all seem like really reasonable guys for the most part that just are really good at this one thing, and it's not the thing where they're trying to kill each other for the most part. Again, and I think that's like, I might get flack for this, but it seems like that's one of the most, like you're saying, that's like the meek. Like they have the ability to snap this person's head off. They've got them in a triangle. They've got them in a guillotine. They could literally kill them. Yeah. And the guy taps out, so they let him go. It's like, that seems like that sort of, it's a practice at meekness or meekhood to me. Somehow. But
it's scary. Violence actually solves a lot of problems. If you're there, and then it creates a billion more, and it's way worse than it was before. Absolutely. Like I've been in quite a few fights. I haven't really won them all, but I got to the point where, like, because like one time I was at Hell's Kitchen. I think we had played with you guys, the original, the OG Hell's Kitchen, and the band was doing well, and I was a fucking virgin. You guys all knew that, and you guys were like poking at me in the back room. Well, these three huge dudes showed up, bald, fat, massive, and apparently they're like, one of their wives was a huge fan of the band, and it would always stand in front of me at the shows. And I was standing next to my buddy Kyle, and this guy just walked up all wasted with his three friends, and he's like, "Where's that pussy Leif?" And I just like slowly like slid into the crowd and like, Jesus.
Did the Homer Simpson into the bush?
Yeah, but there was always situations like that where it'd be like some dude's girl was like getting an autograph, and then he'd try to like fucking take my head off. But,
Step.
they were always bigger than me, so I would just kiss them.
Yeah, it's not a bad move.
Dude, they're all homophobic.
Yeah.
So when they get like really close into your face and they're like talking shit, I just grab them and like really kiss them, and then like slap them. Like at that point everyone jumps in, and I could like
Right.
get away. But
Right.
yeah, you know what? This is funny because this brings up the verse I was going to bring up. Unless you have.
No, you were talking about your how you get anxiety about talking about this stuff because of how deeply ingrained, like unpacking this shit,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's natural, and and honestly, I'm really I feel really thankful that I can be a part of that, because it's like that's the coolest thing ever. That's actually like undoing knots, like that. There's nothing more satisfying than like that knot that you can't get out, and finally you break it, and oh Jesus, it's just a knot. It's not going to beat me,
Yeah, it's strange to look at this stuff holistically, because the real truth is I don't want it, like when I was reading those exact opposite style religious books, I knew what it was. It's like I was hardcore this, and now I'm like going hardcore that. I'm like, obviously the reason and understanding and truth is probably going to be right down the middle somewhere, kind of, So this is the first time ever that I've actually been able to talk about any of these things. I mean, I used to be an insanely active member in my religious community, and I'd give testimonies, speak at church, lead worship, go on missions trips, run youth groups. And so I've spoken a lot. I've been doing sermons, but I've never and fuck, when I started doing this thing, the first one I did, it might have been because we ate like 500 milligram brownies each. Me and Kate were trying it, and I've done this with a lot of other people, and it's weird that obviously it's our conversations forever in every green room ever have just always been, it's always like Queensryche and Alice in Chains and Duff, and then me and you in a corner being like, so black holes, how big?
Right. Where does the light go? How far is everywhere?
Yeah. But like the first one we do, we get really high, and I picked this verse that always fucked with me because most of my life was spent up in this really small attic room I had in this shitty house, just reading the Bible. And there's this verse that says, "To he who has, more will be given, and to he who does not have, even what he have will be taken from him." And that verse always fucked me up because my family, we didn't want to admit it, but we're crazy poor. Right. We lived in a house that it rained on you inside. It looked like a fucking Fight Club. I knew it, even though we didn't get to go to school and we didn't really get to see anything but the church and QFC. And you didn't really have exposure to other people's lives. I had put enough together that we're fucking.
We ain't got dick.
This isn't how you should be.
It's. I mean, there's nothing. It's not ideal.
Yeah, yeah. I
not,
shouldn't talk shit. I love my family and I love my life. It's like
well, and again, even your upbringing was better than probably 90% of the people on the planet.
I will say, you know what was crazy about my family is we had nothing. We had no money. The house was always we had no doorknob. We had no floors because we were building the house ourselves.
Right.
You know, but what we had is there was everyone from our church was always there. Every homeschooler was always there. There was always like 50 people there. And they all play in the backyard. And so there was community and a lot of love. Yeah, and so I appreciate that, but like, you know, in order to stay inside these religious structures, these denominations, you kind of have to shut your brain off to certain things. Like, for instance, the people who study the original language of the Bible and then read the texts in those original language, and the people that study the history around the Bible and then what they have found. You know, it's like, to me, that always was kind of like shrinking God. Like, isn't God big enough to live with evolution? Couldn't God, like, why are we thinking that it could only be this way because we read this book this way, you know?
Why are you closing it off? Why are you, yeah.
And so, like, when I read this first podcast I do, I end up having a 5.5 hour just freak out. Mental stream of consciousness, didn't stop talking for 5 hours. Kate, my fucking amazing wife, most amazing person ever, like, took notes on the whole thing and then, like, wrote it all out for me. And it was really weird. It was the first time I got to look at my life honestly, because when you're into shit, like, for instance, when you have a job when you're 11, you don't want to think about how cold it is, how freezing cold you are cutting down all these Christmas trees at 4:30 in the morning, or how hard it is to saw through a frozen piece of wood, because you've got 7,000 more to do. You got to do this until noon, you know, and so you develop these little, like,
blinders.
Yeah. So, you know, weird, unfettered from all this, that we get to talk about all these verses, all these stories that have lasted fucking so long. How have they lasted? There's got to be something important.
So did you ever? Where do you, you know, as an adult, as a grown person, or as a, you know, a mostly mature human, where do you land on, to he who has more will be given, to he who hasn't, you get all your shit taken, and like, where do you land on that? What's the context?
The gnarliest thing ever. It's actually a mathematical principle. It's called the Pareto effect, I believe, or the Pareto principle. I might be enunciating that a little bit wrong because I read bad. But so if you have 100 musicians, like 90% of the hits are going to come from the top 10. And now if you take that down a little bit more, 90% of those hits are going to come from one of them. Right. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so if you see this, the people that are doing, they get more. Right. You see? So, like, if you're the one, it's really weird.
If you're the Beatles, you write all the best songs.
And like,
you're the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, you wrote all the good songs.
So, like, they figured this out a long time ago. And I know, like, that's pretty fucking weirdly divine to me. Like, what the fuck? How did they do it?
Or maybe that's one of the things that, you know, maybe, you know, but that seems a little wonky, though, doesn't it? Like, it's not necessarily in the same, like, it's not, I don't know what the context is, but, you know, you got to figure there are some of these things that are ancient, that aren't from, you know, just like you said, like we've talked about but some more, like some that, like, you know, like the golden rule could be from, you know, 11,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Or some of these things are like this, you know, you read about, or you see these documentaries on ancient cultures, or the Piri Reis map, you know, the map of Antarctica before the last ice age. You know that? Did you read that Fingerprints of the Gods?
Oh no, I got it though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a map in there that's got Antarctica all mapped out before there was ice there. Wow, and there's not supposed to have been. Well, yeah, it's there weren't supposed to be humans mapping things 11,000 years ago or whatever. So
Yeah.
where did it come from? Well, it got passed down, and somebody, this guy Peter Reese or whoever, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, gets credit for it, but it's obviously not his map. He was just the first person or the last person to come up with it. These tidbits that that if that's a math, if we're talking about math, that's probably not biblical. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to. It's the only way to convey it is through words, because nobody could. Nobody was really writing shit down.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. That's why it's important. So of the ideas that were competing in the space in your brain and in your mouth in everyday life 6,000 years ago, these were the best that came through. That's really interesting. And I happen to believe the Earth's fucking old, and like, I think these ideas come from much more primitive times when human beings were connected. You don't even fucking wear shoes. Every night you have a psychedelic trip in the sky. Like, who knows what they knew compared to what we know? But, I definitely know that the people that all dress the same, look the same, and talk the same, and live these completely unproductive lives out in their little segregated communities don't seem to have come into interaction with the magic that these people in the Bible talk about. Like, I don't think any of these people would be crucified upside down. For what they believe. But that freak out was cool because it started all this, and like it's that was almost 2 years ago.
Was it born out of that verse?
Yeah, that verse.
So you ate the 500 milligrams, read that verse, and your head exploded.
I think about that verse all day, every day.
Right.
Because I don't want to. It seemed to me like reality is like a treadmill, and if you're at the back of it, like, you get eaten. Like, if you want to be living life, you have to be doing.
Thrive.
And how it's crazy, right? Because it's like,
I don't want my shit taken away.
I'm really, I'm just 12 and really scared. I'm 13 and really scared. That's really all it is.
I don't know. I totally appreciate that, and it's so interesting because I don't know when that went away. I don't know when, like, that went away at some point for me. Like, I'm not scared anymore, and I don't know.
I think that's good.
I think you're right. It's just interesting to it's just interesting to realize that
About
yourself. Like, okay, I am scared, or I'm not scared, or and why am I, or why aren't I? Where did that? I think you're born scared. You can't do shit for yourself.
For real.
You can't make any decisions. You don't have any money. You don't have any, like, dude, if you run away, you got to take off your clothes and strip naked. It's like nothing's yours. And they make it clear. It's like you're the low man on the totem pole, but at some point you start moving up the totem pole. And it's strange to, get to be a certain age and be like, I'm not at the top of the totem pole, but I can see it from here.
Yeah.
You know?
When we get invited to like cool Hollywood parties and then we just stay home in our underwear watching like shitty TV, it's my favorite thing in the world. Yeah. I'm like,
I could go.
Like,
I got invited.
Maybe that's what this helps, gets me in a spot in my life where I can reconcile all these hidden closet weird guilts of, damnation and hellfire.
Would you say that your guilt is mostly centered around the fact that you're not living your upbringing?
No, actually, it starts much earlier. So I was always like a really crazy, happy kid and happy person. Like, I was kind of like obnoxious, you'd say. Like, probably on the spectrum. Like, my son's on the spectrum.
Right.
But my parents didn't believe in any of that stuff. So, like, we don't even take Tylenol. You just pray.
Right.
So it's like, I was always pumped. I'd wake up in the morning and remember being pumped. I remember being 8 and like picking up this daffodil from my backyard and just staring at it, wondering what was keeping it together. Like, what structures are keeping all of these leaves, and then the things inside the leaves, and then but in the Bible, there's a lot about you, me, you, everyone. And what it says is you're awful. And what it says is you're sinful, and you're separate. You're so awful. You're so sinful and gross. Like the Old Testament says, any righteous act you could do would be like a dirty tampon to God. It actually says that, dirty menstrual cloth. So even your best work on your best day at the best point of your life is something that is like, ew. And so like, what, even though my life was shitty and we didn't have money, I'd make a stick, the most fucking fun thing in the world. And me and my brother would go run around, and like, I actually loved every second of growing up. I just didn't, because I didn't realize how shitty it was, But like,
doesn't that mean it wasn't shitty then?
Well, I shouldn't say I loved every second. There was moments that were amazing. Most of my teenage years was spent building a house, sometimes 16, 17 hours a day. I didn't even go to school. I just built this house. And like, we're talking mixing buckets of cement mixing concrete in buckets and pouring the entire foundation. Yeah. So it's like,
it's a lot of buckets, man.
it was a lot of work. Yeah, I didn't like it. But these verses tell you you're awful. So what happens when something cool happens in your life? What happens when you get in a cool band, or like that girl you thought was cool says a nice thing to you? I don't know. When good stuff would happen to me, I'd kind of have to like switch it in my head and like find whatever was awful about maybe my motives. Like, oh, you just thought that was cool because you think that girl's hot and you want to kiss her. That's you just want to use her for your pleasure. You'd have to find a way to like.
Yes, please.
Take the good.
All I heard was blah, 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 use her for your pleasure. Blah, 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 blah. That's all I heard.
Right.
It's not true. I heard you. And it's
right.
It's a horrible. I don't understand why. Yeah, I do understand. They want to keep you down. It's like it's the original man trying to like tell you, beat you into submission mentally, emotionally. It's just such a
manipulation.
Yeah. I don't. We get to. It doesn't take very long for us to get here for me, where I'm just like, fuck. What a brutal. That's the. Your upbringing. What it was fine. It was the emotional drubbing you were taking.
Yeah.
From this thing that you're being immersed in, you're immersed in this pool of you suck, or you're horrible, or you're evil, or
Sinful.
whatever you want. Yeah, it's such a horrible place for a kid to be.
Yeah, and you're singing songs about it too. Like, I don't want to be a goat. Nope. I don't want to be a goat. Nope. 'Cause a goat ain't got no hope. Nope. And then there's the next verse is, I just want to be a sheep. Bah. I just want to be a sheep.
No,
bah.
literally.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you're 6. You're 5.
I tell my son, I've told him his whole life that there are sheep and there's what you want to be. Yeah. And so I guess I'm teaching my son to be a Satanist. Because if it's a sheep or a goat, I gotta go with the goat, man.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of. Have you ever read anything about like Anton LaVey, about the leader? No. Oh my God, it's fucking crazy, dude. So he was like, this is a minute ago. I read all this, so I might be a little bit high, right? But like, he was a genius, crazy genius. So he played piano for his church. Like crazy, he was a brilliant piano player. Like played organ, and when he was like, I think he was 8, and he was 10, and so like when he was a young kid, he played piano for the church. Then he also played it for the freak show, and so he played for like the nude show, the nudie show, right. And like all the priests and all the pastors were always at those shows. And so when he was a young kid, he was like,
what the fuck?
I play for you on Sunday, and then on Wednesday you're here,
I see you.
And
the devil.
He was known to have like 4 different orgies going on in 4 different rooms, while he also played 4 different grandmasters at chess in different rooms along the way.
Begs the question: was he? I mean, where were his pants?
I think there was just those cool robes, man.
Oh, robes, right? Sure.
Yeah.
So you don't even need pants. You're just like, he might not even have had a drawstring. He's just like, nah, it's cool.
Yeah. I don't know. But that gets to another. We can do this. This is fun because I have a Bible.
Yeah. Let's see.
It's funny. We're always going to start with the Bible, and it takes us like 45 minutes to even get around.
That's great. It is.
So this is from the first gospel in the Bible, it's Mathew, and it's a pretty famous verse. Let me get it right. It's Matthew 5. We'll start at 5:38. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you not to resist an evil person. But whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also. Actually, the next verse is crazy too. If anyone wants to sue you and take away your tunic, let him have your cloak also. And whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Give to him who asks you, and from him who wants to borrow from you, do not turn away. When the motherfucking shit has any Christian ever done this?
Yeah.
Have you ever met a human being that's done this? I know one. His name's Geoff. He's a pastor at a church down here.
Yeah.
It's the only one I know.
No. No. Let me check. No. And why do you bring this one up? What's
Well, because I think it's actually rad. Because here's the thing, like that when I was saying like these guys that would try to fight me, I'll kiss them. It just disarms the fucking situation. It takes away their weapons. They just start freaking out. Their faces like, they don't even know what to do with themselves. And even if they were bigger than me, they're in such a fluster that, it's disarmed. And like, if you've been around violence or you've been around how bad that can go, like, what if you've seen like a real fight erupt in a bar that breaks out into the street? There's like 30 fucking people. People can fucking die. You hit your head on the concrete. It's crazy how far once violence begins it goes. And so this verse is kind of like a real cool catalyst for that in your life, dude. Just be really kind and give to people. Just give to everyone. Okay, if this guy wants to slap you, just fucking let him slap the other side. If this guy wants your tunic, which I'm sure is a less sort of cloak,
it's a coat or something.
Yeah, give him your whole fucking outfit.
Yeah.
If this guy wants a loan, give him all your money. And it's like, maybe is this like a way for society to be awesome? Is this a way for all of us to live in peace? Because no one does it. I mean, it says it in your book. It says it in the thing you worship.
Well, not only does no one do it, no one's ever done it.
Ever.
And so Mathew, what kind of guy was Mathew?
I think he was a tax collector.
Wow. Wow. Talk about self-serving motherfuckers. If the tax collector wants 70%, give him 100%.
Yeah, he was a tax collector.
Come on.
But he left everything to follow Christ. And by the way, it wasn't written by Mathew. He was long dead before.
Right. And so how do people buy into this shit? Mathew didn't write this.
Well, there's a real, so if, yeah. Why, because like, if you look at the old world, there was a God for everything. Okay? Like, especially in Greece.
And so Mathew is New Testament, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
First book.
So every first book means what? Like it's the first thing you open the...
When you open the Bible, yeah. I think it was written much later.
Like much later than other Gospels?
Yeah.
But one of the first thing it says is give all your shit away. It's like, really? Give your shit away. That's what you're
Jesus
gonna.
says that a lot.
Yeah.
Jesus is all about that.
Yeah, I can get with, like, do you think that okay, let's say there's a guy, Jesus, is rolling around and he's saying that. Or you think he means literally give all of your stuff away, or do you think he means, donate to people who are in need? I mean, what?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't. That's how my family read. That's how I read it. But like,
What's what?
I'll give all your shit away. Like one time, so my family was, like I said, really poor, but we were very entrepreneurial. So like, my mom had a really successful business, home decor store. We just didn't make any money off it. We always put it back in the business. We had a latte stand that like my siblings, all four of us ran, and it was great. It was really cool. Built a community, and built. It would get us basically tips.
Yeah.
And this one day, if you made $25 a morning back then, it was like pretty fucking good money.
Right.
And I had made $79.
What?
I was like, my mind was blowing because I was like, what do I do with all this money? Like I was like, oh my god, like
I'm rich.
I could buy
I'm
cars.
rich.
And my mom was a single mom at the time. We were doing all this as like a family, and I was like perplexed because I'm like, why would God give me all this money? This is too much money. And then the next person that came through the latte stand,
Sorry.
I asked her, I was like, are you a single mom? Because she had a car seat in the back, and she was younger, and she's like, yeah. And so I just gave her all my money. I gave her my tip jar, and because I was like, yes, from reading, that's what I thought you were supposed to do. When I was too young to go inside the Central, when I was 18 and standing in the rain every Sunday night waiting to play Doc Maynards and shit, I'd hang out with all the homeless people and give them all the money I had. And that was the problem, is I would do this, and then I had fucking nothing. I had a bed that smelled like patchouli because random drifters would come in and take all my change, and you have no boundaries, and you have no time because you're always helping people move, you're always helping people garden, you're always helping, and it does build community. But for me, it was a really
It destroys self. Yeah.
And then the other reason I brought this up is because this is just used all the fucking time, right, in churches and
Turn the other cheek.
sermons. Yeah, right. But this isn't Jesus's stand actually on any of this. If you believe the other parts of the Bible or the other parts of the Gospels, where he says, like, for instance, I did not come to bring peace, but a sword, and to turn daughter against mother and father against son. And he also says the night where he's in Gethsemane, he's in this garden waiting to get arrested, and he turns to his apostles and he's like, sell your cloak for a sword. He's like telling them all, like, sell anything you have to buy weapons, because he knows they're about to be arrested. And when they get arrested, and one of them, Peter, cuts off one of the dude's ears, and Jesus like puts it back on.
Right. It's a pretty dope move.
Pretty dope move, but it's like, which Jesus do you follow? So is it the Satan Jesus who wants to purge the infidels out of the Holy Land, or is it the turn the other cheek Jesus? Because both of them are in here.
That don't make any sense. It's like Harry. It's an impossible. It's an impossible guide. You know what I mean? It's like, and to take it as a life guide. It's, again, we keep getting back to this. It's a recipe for failure. It's impossible to be all of these things, and to do these competing narratives are not conducive. They're mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
And some of them, like, I don't know. Yeah, again, we keep getting back to this also. It doesn't seem to be a text meant to be taken in the literal. It's not fair to people to insist they take it literally.
To me, it always seems like, too, if you say this, it's really interesting, because what you're doing is black and white, and you're saying, I know. So essentially what you're saying is that you have the knowledge of God, because how could you know? Well, I've studied these texts exclusively for many years.
Exclusively.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, okay. Do you speak ancient Greek?
Right.
You know, I mean, how much do you know about, so like, point being is it becomes this scaffold we all build where literally every Christian, excuse me, not every, 90% of the Christians I meet are their own God. They're worshiping themselves because they made it their own interpretation of this old book, and now they think they're right. And they just hide behind this wall of self-righteousness that isn't even fucking real.
Well, and what they're only half wrong. They are God. We're all miracles. We are the creepy stardust, and what the universe is made up of is what we're made up of. And
crazy.
So why can't we just peel the last layer away and just say this document is a spiritual guide?
Yeah.
It's like, and take it for what it is. It was written by a whole bunch of people with varying motivations. And not all at once. It's not like someone sat down, you know what, I'm going to write the Bible. Yeah.
Thousands of years. These are stories over thousands of years.
Yeah, millennia. And
it's crazy.
And so how people, again, it's like people treat it like it's Dark Side of the Moon. Like it's a single work. Like they sat down in 1972 and they wrote this amazing album. It's like, well, it's not that. It's more like a greatest hits. It's like it's a millennia of greatest hits. And stop looking at it like, you know what it is? It's fucking K-Tel. It's motherfucking K-Tel. You remember the K-Tel albums? It would be like a commercial that came on 7 hits. It's like the predecessor to Sounds of the 70s and the Time Life shit. K-Tel would come on and they're like remember Rock On? Remember that album?
Were they 8 tracks at this point?
They were albums. Well, you could get an 8-track album or cassettes. Yeah.
Okay.
And it'd be like, is that Freedom Rock? Turn it up, dude. You remember that shit? It's like, that's what the Bible is. It's greatest hits. And it's Freedom Rock from, for like 8,000 years worth of Freedom Rock. And it's just something that's supposed to be the soundtrack of your life. You're not supposed to listen to it and like obey, hey, kid, rock and roll, rock on. Okay, well, it said, hey, kid, rock and roll. So I must rock and roll. But then it says rock on. So I have to rock on, but I also have to rock and roll.
How must I keep rocking?
How can I rock and roll and rock on at the same time? God, I don't understand this. Well, play the next song. What does the next song say? My Sharona.
Jesus was the Rock of Ages.
Yeah. So it's that. Like, why can't we just take it as a greatest hits record that we put on while we're living our lives?
Because unfortunately, the world's fucking really scary, and there's so many questions, and there's not enough answers, and everyone wants to feel powerful. So instead of admitting where they are in the universe, they act like they are the universe. And then they use this technology developed by scientists who say the exact opposite of everything they believe to tweet, their favorite verse of the day. And it's like, it's interesting, It's just a weird where we found ourselves with it, I think it's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, we're definitely on the wrong path and have been for, like we said, as the second we stopped listening to the women.
Yeah.
Fucked.
Yeah.
Fucked for good.
Yeah.
And I gotta pee though. I gotta pee.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna get more marijuana.
Okay, cool. I'll be right back. Prettiest girl I ever seen. James Dean. I'm gonna try to find the track listing for Rock On. Rock On album.
This is one of the better analogies that we've come up with. Best hits.
It really is. Oh, there it is. There it is. Mm-hmm. Rock On. $9. You can still buy it. Oh, no.
Is it on Rhino?
Probably. What does it say? 24 original hits by 24 original artists.
That's a deal right there.
It is. No, it's I don't know what it says there, but I wanted it. But that's what I really think that's kind of. I think we're onto something with that because it really is. Like, I wanted to find the track listing. Oh yeah. Okay. So rock on. Tell me something good. Tell me something. Yeah. American Woman. And When I Die. Yeah, Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Oh,
Where's
okay.
Where's the Love? Roberta Flack. Where is the love? Wake Up, Everybody. Harold Melvin and the Blue Note. I don't even know that one. That's strange that I don't know one. Whoops! Whoa! Stop it! What happened? Damn it! But it's these greatest hits. They're not even cohesive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's going on with the Bible. It's like not only is the Bible not cohesive, some of I'm a Woman by Maria Mulder,
Yeah.
Lady Marmalade,
Oh shit.
Billy Don't Be a Hero. Remember that one, don't you?
No.
Don't be a fool with your life. Arizona, don't even know that one. TSOP, no idea. But these are all like it's not like you figure Billy Don't Be a Hero and Lady Marmalade. If you were reading an ancient document and the lyrics for both of those showed up as life guides, would you be like, I have a question. That doesn't make any sense. How can I be Lady Marmalade and not be a hero in a wartime scenario? Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? That's because my wife's favorite movie is Moulin Rouge. Thank you very much.
Oh really? I still have yet to see it.
Oh man. Oh, it's worth seeing.
Man, I've been COVID helped me catch up on a lot of weird old movies that I wasn't allowed to watch as a kid.
Yeah.
But like, it's fun to touch on this woman thing because it's my favorite.
I'm glad you finally got there, Leif. I've been trying to steer you to that for some time now, but I'm glad. Now that you're married, I think you should realize it's kind of fun to touch on this woman thing.
I'm gonna have to get like makeup.
You know what I discovered last night, Geoff?
I call it a blowy.
Oh dear.
But this fucking
matriarchal.
Yeah, like, cause I mean, I'm a fucking dude. I love being a dude. I like doing dude stuff. I like fucking cars. But like, why are most dudes so motherfucking threatened by strong, powerful women? And, like, have to create weird, insecure games and labyrinths for them to fucking get through, just to fucking get their ideas heard.
Yeah, I don't know, and it's just we're so far down that path of condescension and marginalizing and it's like the magic of women is belittled and made fun of instead of worshipped and followed. And it's just like, what the fuck? So I have to, so my son has to grow up in a world run by fucking dudes, by men. It's like, that's never gonna be, it's so depressing to me.
I think it's alcohol. I think it comes about, so check, if women were everything back in the day, priests, if they were the ones that got you to God through these sacred ceremonies, and maybe wines spiked with stuff, it's a pretty cool position. It's pretty powerful. Back when alcohol was rare, I bet you'd get jealous. You start drinking all the time, these egotistical tendencies start coming out in you, and everything becomes this dominance hierarchy no matter what, and I think alcohol got us here. But at the same time, like the weird drug revolution that has happened, like everyone used to think if you smoked weed you were a fucking loser. I did. That's why I didn't smoke weed till I was 29. And then I realized all my really rich friends that have the coolest fucking lives smoke weed all day. And I was just like, what, and these type of experiences becoming more widespread if you've tripped once on mushrooms in your life, later on in life you're like 90% more spiritual, monogamous, happy. Like all these different factors of your life they're showing are better, even just once,
Yeah.
And maybe this is, through conversations like this that use like, you know, jokes and hilarity and life experience that we can get to these honest fucking places where we can allow these stories to continue on and make the world better. Because I thought that's what they were supposed to do. Because it's not working. It didn't work.
I don't believe they're trying. No one's trying to make the world a better place. They're trying to make themselves richer.
They want to make their life a better place. Yes, they're climbing whatever fucking dumb ladder.
Yeah, it gets, in the way that you feel that anxiety. Like if I think of it, we get there every time we do this. Now I get to this place where I'm like, fuck. We're just, and I've known this forever. Like I've known it for most of my life that we got on the wrong path and like ran and sprinted and got in a car and then drove and then got in a plane and flew and then got in a rocket ship and sailed and just kept going and there. I don't know how when 2000 when the housing crisis happened.
Oh yeah.
I was like, well, afterwards. I didn't know my wife when that happened, but she's in. She knows what she's talking about when it comes to the financial markets and things like that. And I'm like, they should have. Why are they bailing out the banks? She's like, well, what, you want the whole system to fail? I'm like, I would like the whole system to fail. I'd like to start over. And she's like, well, you really need to unpack what that means. I'm like, yes, it would be bad for a lot of people, but boy, could it be a reset? But I think that's not even enough. It's like I think we need a real big meteor strike.
Oh damn!
Or like the ice age. I love the global warming and like we got to save the planet. I'm like, bitch, the planet is not going anywhere.
Oh no, yeah,
the planet is
us right the fuck off.
Just like it's just gonna toss out a little frosty blanket for itself, and then once we're all gone, and once all but 6% of us are dead, it'll just start re-greenifying itself. And
happened before. Yeah, it's really interesting to think about that shit because like even living in cities, because I grew up so deep in the country. I grew up. It's only woods.
Right.
My life was spent walking around woods, but like. If there was a car out in the woods that had been there for a while, the earth just starts eating it.
Oh yeah,
it
reclaiming,
just eating it. It's going to be eaten.
Breaking down
300 years.
Yeah,
there's no car there. I don't know how long it would take. I'm not a scientist, but like, and so like,
it wouldn't even take. It would take. I don't know. Like if it's wet out, man, rust wins.
Just fucking eats everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh yeah, which is great, and that's how it should be. And I just wish, like I whenever like Seattle has all the crazy like bridge freeways and raised, freeways and going over overpasses, and I just like I'm always just looking at it like when is it going to be overtaken by growth? When are the plants going to overtake it again? Because it's going to happen at some point. We'll be gone. We will be gone, and all the shit that we built will get exactly what you're talking about. Will be, reclaimed by the vegetation.
Would you go to Mars?
Why?
It kind of sounds pretty cool.
No, but why? Would I go there to do it for the experience? Of course, yeah, I would totally go.
I think it's a one-way trip, though, right?
Yeah, that's what originally, but cryo sleep, you've seen the movies. They can get there and back. Matt Damon, he lived on there for like a year and a half by himself.
But I've been waiting for a lightsaber since I was a kid. I don't even have a hoverboard yet. I've been waiting for a hoverboard for a minute. We already passed that date.
Yeah, but they sort of have those. But no, not really. Not the good ones. They got the stupid one-wheeled ones, which I don't understand. I think those are the work of the devil.
Yeah, it's funny to see people bomb these hills in Santa Monica.
I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
the fuck?
Are you crazy? You're gonna die on that thing, I promise.
Yeah.
Remember the guy who invented the Segway? Guess what happened to him? It's like fall on your sword, pal.
Dude.
It just makes no sense. But what were we talking about? Would you go to Mars? Would you go to Mars? It's like I don't want to spread this. It's like, would you track dog shit into somebody else's house?
But you're not dog shit. I don't think all humans are dog. I don't even think I like everyone. I like even if they're dumb.
You and I aren't dog shit, but the people who would be paying our way to Mars would be. It's like the society that's going to get us there and want to propagate. That's going to want to like continue on is not the one that I want to spread to another planet.
I just don't know, dude. I don't. You and I know and have been at plenty of parties with people with like wealth, with like real money, wealth, and it's like, I think everything's just chaos. I don't know about that. If there's an Illuminati, I'll in public just randomly be like, I want to be in the Illuminati. I'll just like shout it. I always have, like, hey, I don't think it's real.
You got to ask, no one's going to give you what you don't ask for.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about that society. I'm just talking about the I'm not talking about like the Illuminati that's going to get us there.
Oh, you're just talking about humans.
I'm just talking about the society that the one that's on the wrong path right now is the one that would be paying for our trip to Mars. Elon. Maybe if Elon let Grimes make all the decisions, maybe if he just signed everything over to her and was like, I'm just going to do whatever she says.
Maybe that's what's happening.
Or if Bezos, he divorced his wife. Right. Okay, let's skip that. And what's the first thing she does? I'm going to give away all my money.
She's rad, apparently.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, human beings are so, we don't get enough credit. We're like, we can change for the better. Like did you watch that Borat? Did you watch that one when he was that newest one when he was stuck with those two guys?
No.
Dude, you should watch it. He gets stuck with these two conspiracy theorists. It's funny. It's actually out by, I don't want to name the town, but by my place up in Washington.
Is it really?
Yeah.
He was out here?
Yeah. That when he did that, that whole stunt where he did the song for the rally with everyone had guns and shit. The anti.
Oh, right.
That was near Olympia.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. One of actually.
That's awesome.
A country band I used to play with was on the bill. Like.
Are you kidding?
They bragged about it on social media, and I was like, wasn't that like a white supremacist rally?
What do you mean? No, it's just white.
Oh, that post came down. But the cool part is the people in that I'm very familiar with.
Right.
Those are people I grew up around. Those are people I used to live by. I still have a house by. And I love, there's and one of them, they're spouting all the normal stuff you'd think, and all the stuff, the tribalism with politics and conspiracy theories. But Borat starts going into women. And this like redneck, he's like, no, women, men, we're equal. And it was kind of the raddest thing ever. And like, I don't think it got talked about enough. Like this guy, and he does it a bunch. And he's like, because people like that out there, men like that, oh, what the fuck? Go away. You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
Sorry.
You son of a bitch.
Fucking phone is connected to everything. There we go.
You son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. But seriously, like people like that used to not think like that. And like, for me, I used to think if you smoked weed, you were a failure.
Yeah.
Like I was taught that if you're a homosexual, you go to hell. That's what I was taught growing up.
Right.
Until I met a couple homosexuals, that's what I used to think too.
Right.
Like we're capable of growth. We're capable of recognizing unhealthy and wrong patterns and making them better. We're kind of like chaos-eating, order-restoring machines in a way.
Sort of. Yeah, maybe on on a micro level, we can do that. But on a macro level, we're being, this document we've been talking about over and over again for the last month. It's the people who are pimping it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're doing, are doing it in a way that does not foster healing or reverse engineering
righteousness,
matriarchal society, or it's like,
yeah,
it doesn't. So I don't agree with you that yes we you and I can sit here and try to unpack all of our bullshit, and maybe it'll help a couple. I don't know what it'll do. It's fun to talk about. I really enjoy talking about it. It's really frustrating when we just personally, I just keep getting to the same dead end, that it's like we're fucked.
Well, what we're going to do is build a community out of this, and then we get to go on the road, and then we get to talk to all of them, and then all of us collectively will start writing a new gospel.
Right. Yeah. That I like that idea. And, but when does the adulation show up? Like, when does the adulation?
Oh, fucking! I don't, brother. I'm on the Valhalla tip. I don't think that ever comes. I keep it out of my mind. All I do is keep my head down. I work.
I know. But dude, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to spend a short week on the road with some friends of ours who get mass adulation every 3 nights in like the most insane way, and I just want a little baby, little, just this much light. See that? I just want this much little tiny light of adulation.
It's so weird when I think I become
does that mean I'm going to go to hell because I want a little goddamn adulation, motherfuckers?
No, that means you've been on stage and you've killed it once in your life or twice in your life. You know what I'm saying? If you've ever done something you wanted to do and you weren't even there while it was happening, you were like above yourself floating, and it was the coolest thing that ever happened. Yeah, that experience is.
That's sort of what I'm talking about, but mine is mine is way more like as a voyeur, not voyeur, but not as a participant, but as a God damn it, like watching.
A god?
No, like watching people receive adulation. Like I'm not talking about the adulation that I've experienced.
Oh, okay.
As in receiving it myself. I'm talking about the adulation I've seen others receive. I want to stand in front of what everybody wants. I want to be a rock star. I've always wanted to be a rock star. And I want to stand and like have people just scream and lose their minds when I walk into a room.
Do you when you play music, do you look at the audience?
Rarely. I'm the drummer. I can't see fucking. You can only see 5 rows out. I can only see 1, and that's So it's like I'm not playing music. Honestly, that's I don't know. Like you go to concerts, and I'm not talking about it in a sense that I'm being kind of flippant and kind of sarcastic about it. But what I really want is that sense of seance, or like where everyone is on the same fucking vibe. That's what I want. It's like I'm not talking about. I don't care about. Like it doesn't matter. Like when you see Pearl Jam, or you see Guns N' Roses, or you see anybody, name it, whoever it is that you love, and the whole crowd is singing along, and it's like I like being.
60,000 people sharing.
I don't even need to be on stage.
Yeah.
But just being in that room where everybody is in tune, everyone's on the vibe. That's what I want. And if we can do that doing this, that'd be the greatest thing ever, because we're talking about real shit. It's like and that's the only way it can resonate. That's the only real music that only happens when musicians are real. When they're being honest. It only happens with honesty. So I don't mean to be, like I am being kind of like, I want to be a fucking rock star. But what I want is I want to be a priest. I want people to like, or I want to be a member of a what congregation. You know what I mean? Like that's what being at a rock show is. You're a member of a congregation.
See the funny like I don't like sports at all. Like I like fighting, but I don't like sports. I liked football before I figured out what guitar was. I played football before I figured out what guitar was, but like guitar was once I figured out guitar, it was like this is the only thing I care about. In fact, dude, I don't know if I told you that story, but I'd only heard Christian music growing up, and I was at this camp. I was almost 14, and I lost this 3-legged race, and I was always kind of big for my age, so like I felt really dumb that I lost because I was just carrying the other kid running, and I still lost. And I was like, oh. So I was like perplexed, and like I walk in. My camp counselor at the time had a Strat pack. He had a Squire Strat with that shitty amp, and he played dun 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 dun. And I shit you not, I like grabbed his shoulder firmly, and I was like, I don't know what you just did, but that's the only thing I care about. And like that was it. I made him play it 100 times. He played that and Plush by STP, that riff. Those were the only things. And I was like, these sounds exist. Like you can make this with your fucking hands.
Right.
Like
right.
It blew my mind. It's the only community
So
I wanted. And then, like you said, like when you get in a room and there's like X amount of people all sharing that one thing, it's like it's such a you don't really want to become an accountant anymore. You don't really care about
It's not an option. It's totally not an option. The first concert the first rock concert that I went to on my own was my parents wouldn't let me go till I was 16, and then when I turned 16, they bought me a ticket for Van Halen 1984.
Fuck.
At the Coliseum. And it was Bachman Turner Overdrive opening and the Velcros opening for.
I know them.
You don't. They were like the New Jersey Generals. They were like this. They were like a little skinny tie punk rock thing.
Oh, cool.
That was there just to get booed off the stage.
Okay.
They got pelted with coins and shit until they left the stage. It was amazing. They were on for like 2 songs, but when. So it was that, the Panama video, right? It's that stage, right? It's that was the stage.
I have the encyclopedia.
Yeah. And so they come out and they open with Unchained. And I'm like,
dude,
and I'm like, so there's the stage and then there's this little skinny catwalk that comes out in the middle. And honestly, it couldn't have been more than 3 feet wide where he's walking, right? So it's like, and it's only like chin high. So it's like you could like, if he's, and so like they play the first song. Totally. They play the first song and I'm like I'm on Michael Anthony's side on the left side. But like, and like maybe, David Lee Roth comes out on the catwalk and he's further upstage than I am. Right. So he's like, and he's like he's like right where you are up, and I'm like, and so I'm just a little bit closer to the stage than he is, and he's like, "That's right, Seattle. Let's see him." And everybody takes their lighters out, and the lighters come out, and it sounds like a 747's taken off because of the butane. And I'm like looking at this, and I get this moment of clarity where I'm like, and I'm looking, and I'm like, "There's this. This is the greatest party I've ever been to." And everybody's in on the party, but there's 4 guys on this side of the party, and 16,000 on this side of the party. And this dude is just a guy. He's not as big as me. Yeah. He's just a dude who worked it so that he could be the guy with the mic.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all right. So this is a reality that people live in. Why would you try and inhabit anything else?
Yeah.
That was my. Yeah, he was shit-faced. He got to the song where that all happened was the Jamie's Crying. He sings the first verse twice because he's drunk and forgets the second verse or whatever. And it's just like, dude, and no one gave a shit. I'm like, oh my God, no one cared.
No one gives a fuck. Have you seen the Us Festival footage that's on YouTube?
I think I've watched it before. I don't know that I
Yeah, what's
watched
that? Baby, please. Cannot take it anymore. What's that song? I'm drinking whiskey at the party tonight. What's that Van Halen song? My brain's a little high.
Keep singing it.
I'm looking for somebody to squeeze. Like that shit?
I don't know. Well, it was probably Diver Down because that's a record there.
So. Well, it was no, because I think it was '83 that this festival was.
Right, I thought Diver Down came out in '82.
Oh yeah, okay, that's.
I could be wrong. Fact
so, he comes out. Point being, I think there was like 1 million fucking people there too. By the way, which might have been a first.
Right.
And he like the first lyrics, like I was summer doobie da.
Oh, he like blows it, like immediately fumbles the ball, and no one cares.
No, and he goes, I forgot the fucking words.
Right. I watched that.
You were there?
No, I watched it on TV.
Oh, Burke Thomas was there.
Jesus, really?
Yeah.
What he was like? He was like 8.
Do you know he was a college fullback though?
You told me that,
yeah. But like. God damn, one of my favorite humans. The amount of stories I have with that guy, like, is just the weirdest shit. Like, that Third Eye Blind band was like, like it was so weird. Like that guy would spit on me if I fucked up. So we were living in Vegas for a hot minute, like, and it was by the Club Rio. So it was like off the strip. There was a studio that we rehearsed at like 10 hours a day. And it was 118 degrees.
Yeah.
And Tony Fertinelli, he's fucking, I love him. I really love him. He's crazy, but I love him. He's like, he was in the band. He was the first guitar player in Third Eye Blind. He helped write a bunch of those songs in the first record. But then he's kind of intense. So I think he got either quit or got kicked out. He's like, his dad was a famous jazz musician too. He's sold out Carnegie Hall a couple times, I think. Sure. But he's a really good guitar player, but he doesn't shred. He plays like chords and like it's all like fucking right hand shit and like it's all open tunings. So we're playing these really intense, complicated Burke riff open tuning pop songs, and I can't even really fucking still play guitar. I'm still just practice all the time, and I'm reading my Bible outside of the New York, at the Starbucks every morning, and there's like all these big boobs walking by, and I'm just like trying to keep my head down in the Bible. Like, so anytime I fuck up, he'd like spit on me, and I was just like, oh, I figured this is like rock and roll boot camp.
Right.
Like,
he's a drill sergeant.
It's like, oh no, it was horrible. Where's that? Band stories, we got too many. We should keep away from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Who wants to hear these? Fucking, there's way too many.
It's my stepbrother. What, you got another passage for us?
No, but I could pick one right now. Well, I have a story that I've been reading a bunch and I wanted to talk about. I could just get really high real quick.
Okay. While you're getting high, I'm gonna play this little thing that I wrote last night for you.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can find it. Here it is. If it'll show up. God made saliva. It's the most important thing.
I played it for Kate already.
God made saliva. It's the most important thing when it comes to touching his or her. Wing ding. Natural saliva takes you all the way home. If you want to diddle the button or stroke the bone.
Can I make a beat out of that? Make that a song? Do you mind?
Oh, totally.
Pretty weak.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's...
Well, you know, it's like, it's so, like, you were, you know, the part where that, I take that kind of personally. You know, it's like, I went through the whole, if I would have known what I was doing, I don't know, you shouldn't ever be afraid to buy condoms, ever.
Oh, my God. What an interesting thing you just hit on. Frightened.
Yeah. It's like, first of all, they tell you, it was like, if you went and bought condoms, it was like someone was watching you have sex. And it's like, 100%. That's such bullshit. How do you say you can well, no, you're not even allowed to use protection. That's what, I don't know which it was for me. Did I feel guilty for buying them because somebody knew I was going to be having sex, or was I I feel guilty for buying them because you're not supposed to use them.
Because Catholics you can't use contraceptives?
No, you can't.
Interesting.
And so, it's
Like
like...
to keep them coming, to keep the Catholics coming.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Butts and seats, man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of information I would like to have had, It's like I didn't, and that's spit, man. That's your best friend. You don't need to go buy a bunch of fancy fucking lube, Just be gentle with yourself until pre-cum starts coming out, and then you can work that in the saliva. It's all you ever need. Boys and girls alike. You're okay.
Yeah. If you're a any type of religious person that lives in a suburb, you need to listen to what this man's saying right now. Trust me. Right. Your life will be you wouldn't even have realized how cool your life could be if you start listening.
True.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, you don't gotta stick your dick in weird things. You don't gotta rub your
unless you want to.
Well, yeah, I mean, but keep it.
You should.
Don't but not machinery. Not metal. Not leave the vacuum alone. Socks are fine, I guess. I'm just don't be nice to yourself.
Man, I'm
fucking
like,
be nice to yourself. It's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, masturbation is not really allowed in any type of Christian circle. Sure.
But there's not a person on the planet.
Church.
There's not a person on the planet who doesn't do it. It's like,
right. Oh, how strange, right? And by the way, do you know, like, before, like, I was married, I would schedule jerking off, like, because my days are full. I got like songs to learn. I got to drive. I got to get to the gig. I usually had a construction gig. I'm a dad. So it's like 8 a.m. I'm gonna fucking jerk off. So my mind is clear and I can work. Like,
right.
Yeah. It's like, why let that control you, and why see that as a bad thing? Like,
yeah, that's another way to get control over people, is to tell them that their urges or their needs are bad or deviant. It's just like
the first time I jerked off, my brain blew up, like, in so many different ways, right? Like, because it felt good, and it felt really good, and it was always explained to me that it was like so, like, I literally thought I might be going to hell.
Like on your way, like first you came, and then you're like, well, you're gonna be
praying.
Okay, we got to take you now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like praying. It was so strange, and it's like, yeah, and it's always so, like, how can you even think about sex or a relationship of, like, how about this? Everyone's into different things. How can you even figure out what the fuck you're into unless you can think about it healthily, and like,
right. How can you be happy if you don't have an open mind about who you're allowed to be?
Yeah. Yeah.
How can again lesson? It's a fool's errand. It's
control, compliance.
It's a recipe for failure. That's what they're building you up to fail, so that you have to apologize for failing. It's like,
yeah, and it's like, so and like, so this guy, who was this guy Jesus then? Because he's inspired. He's obviously one of the most important figures, if not the most important figure ever, and like, he's inspired so much. There's actually been a lot of good, but like there's so much bullshit that it's hard to talk about the good, but there has been good, and like, him outside of the Gospels, him as a historical figure is really interesting, because he is a poor, illiterate nothing. He lives in the nothing town, in the nothing place, with the nothing people, and he works on the rich people's houses that exploit his religion and disobey it. They go against his religion to make money and have nice houses, nice things, and live a good life. And so you see him rise up and start healing people and giving to people and building this community. And that was a real person that did that, And so
it probably was a real person.
Oh, he existed. There is, outside of the gospel, there's this book, this historian, non-Christian historian, Josephus, that talks about him. He was a guy from Nazareth that
he was here.
He was a magician. Yeah.
Okay,
Because I tried to disprove it.
But the the other thing you said about him being the most important, you know, like how many Muslims are there compared to Christians, and how many Buddhists are there? Like, I think it's not the most important religion.
Well, I guess I'm speaking for America. I've read the Quran a little bit. I want to read it more, but I actually like some things about the Quran. So I don't know anything about it.
Problem is that our audience is on the World Wide Web.
Oh, yeah. But you think about historical figures, Alexander the Great. There's some people that permeate history through time, and the message of die for what you love, or whatever Christ represents, whatever this cross represents. I don't think Christ would have been a Christian at all. He was a Jew. I don't think Christianity would have existed if he actually rose from the grave. You know, he tells us.
Go ahead. I was just gonna. I'm just playing devil's advocate because, like, what was his name? Not Kubla Khan. Who's the great
Confucius?
No. The warrior, the guy who
Genghis.
Genghis Khan.
However you say it, I think it's like
Genghis Khan.
Genghis or some Khan. Yeah.
Right. Well, so that guy apparently 75% of the population on the planet has his DNA.
Did you listen to The Wrath of the Khans?
Is that a band?
No, dude. Do you know who Dan Carlin is?
Who's that?
Dan Carlin is this like kind of renegade punk rock journalist out of Portland from like a long time ago. So, and he has a podcast that he only puts out like one or two every once in a while, and they're usually behind paywalls, and they're the best thing that's ever happened. He has like a 12-part series. It's like I don't know. It feels like it's 30 hours on Genghis Khan.
Uh-huh.
It is fucking mind-blowing. There's a story of like a guy coming to make like peace with Genghis Khan, and they come to China, and from far away they think that they didn't realize it had all these beautiful snow-topped mountains, just these massive mountains, and they get closer and realize it was all human bones, and he had killed the entire fucking city,
the population,
the entire, and like their carts got stuck in the decayed skin.
Yeah.
And it is insane.
Yeah.
So you should get into that if you haven't.
Yeah. You'll have to text me that.
It's good shit, but like, well, I hear what you're saying, and what you're trying to say is like,
we got to keep it in perspective here. Like,
well, I mean, the reason I'm starting even doing this, which is really hard for me, is because I see a lot of horrible things that actually happen in these institutions, within them. You know, Moody Bible College, their slogan is like the inerrance of the Word of God, or like sola scriptura, or whatever it is.
What does that mean?
It means that the Bible has no errors.
Oh, right.
That we have to study it. If you don't study it and cut the word right, that's what your sin is. That's why your life is wrong, is because you're not following it correctly.
That just makes no modern sense.
Well, yeah, and I mean, their argument would be it never did, and it's the righteous path, and it's harder, and that's what even Jesus was walking. And I guess in one sense you're right, but also in the other sense you're tweeting that from a fucking phone that is made by scientists who have used things you don't fucking believe in to get there. So maybe you should just go back to living in a dark age. You know, maybe you should stay in a tent when you're on your period. Why don't you
and not a Gore-Tex tent? You know,
no,
like a cloth tent with
can't
wood
wear two
stakes.
Different cloths in your clothes either. You get fucking stoned.
Dude, polyester gonna fucking be the death of you.
Fucking dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like I don't know why they don't see that as hypocritical. Where they like, well, we spank our children because the Bible says so. Well, like, dude, I got spanked a lot. It did not work. I got belts. Like, and like it. All it made me realize is I can take a shot, and that did not help. Like,
it's not fun.
No.
Scared the shit out of you, didn't it?
Oh my God.
Could they hit you in? Oh, you weren't in school.
My dad was a teacher, a high school teacher, when you could spank.
Yeah,
he worked in a school. You could bring guns to school. The kids would bring 22s to school for target practice.
Really?
So, and my dad, we had like a rough relationship growing up, but he's like, now that I'm older, he's like become my like favorite person. He's insane. I love him. He's like the weirdest, coolest guy. So I, realizing all this stuff, he's a lot better. But so he wants to be a good teacher, and he's like talking to one of his friends, and he's like, "What about this spanking thing?" And the guy's like, "Okay, this is what you do. The first time you have to spank anyone, make it a crazy event, and then you'll never have to spank another kid in your classroom."
Right.
And so my dad
make a display.
my
Set
dad
an
taught,
example.
gross, but yeah. My dad taught shop and made a paddle, and so when he spanked one kid, like lifted his fucking legs off the ground, talked about how horrible he felt, and like never had to spank again. But that was in a high school, Longview, Washington.
Dude, I was Madrona Junior High School, right up here in Edmonds, Washington, not very far from here. And Mr. Christensen, bald guy, I sat in his office one time, and he's like, "Did you do it?" I'm like, "No." He took his paddle out, and there was a chair next to me, and he slammed it on the chair next to me, and I'm like, I think I probably shat myself. And he's like, "Okay, if you didn't do it, then go." I'm like, "Okay." And I went and undid what I had done because I had done it. but I was able to undo it, It was like, "Oh, dude, sorry." Yeah.
And why does a religion do that? Like, so you see Jesus in a couple examples. Obviously, the one I'm thinking of was not in the original text and was added much later. But when he meets that woman in adultery, he's like, "Go and sin no more." Like, that was his whole deal. It's like he helped her become a better her. Hey, listen, your life doesn't seem to be going so well as a hooker. Like, what if we try to get you out of this? But like, where is that practiced in a modern day church? Maybe we just don't know good churches, because I know about there's only like one. There's one down here. I'll even name it. It's the Dream Center. That's the one my buddy Geo works at. And like, you know what he does? Fucking feeds homeless people. You know what he does? Schools kids. When the pandemic happened, they just brought in, "Hey, do you have to work? Are you a single parent? We'll help all your kids with their online school. You can watch them here. It's safe." They had all the COVID restrictions up. They did everything by the book. They didn't complain. They give kids shoes when they need it. It's like they're not like barking about like predestination. They're not barking about like theology. Do you know about predestination?
I don't. What is it?
Check this out. Well, we'll do a whole. I've got notes. Like, we'll do a whole thing on it. So in the Bible, there's a lot of phrases that say "to the elect of God." So this phrase happens all the time. To the elect in Christ, to those who were chosen before the foundation of the earth, the elect. So this idea is that God is all-knowing, right? Because he's God. So even before you're born, he knows if you're going to heaven or hell after you die.
And that's called what?
Predestination.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that was taught in my church, that God knows that you are going to hell. So there's also another verse.
Wouldn't that mean that it doesn't matter what you do because it's predetermined?
Huh? Very interesting, huh? Kind of.
Well, I mean, you can take your hands off the wheel, can't you? If God's already got it sorted, then you do what the fuck you want. I mean, you don't have to. There's nothing you can do, right? That's what it's saying. There's nothing you can do.
How about there's another verse I can back this up with too?
Isn't that all? Doesn't that also like kind of equate to the opposite of free will?
Interesting.
Destiny. Right?
I mean, free will is an illusion then, absolutely. And there's another verse in Romans that says, "I have made some vessels for honor and some vessels for dishonor." And that's talking about human beings, the vessels.
Right.
So it's like, yeah.
Who says that? God says that?
Well, I think they think it was written by Paul. I can't remember if that book was written by Paul. It might have been. Yeah. I have it in my notes, but so.
Well, and see that totally. Some people are good. Some people are not good.
Anything in the Bible. So the apostles have some books, right? And this guy that claims he's an apostle, Paul, Because the requirement for being an apostle is you had to have been around Jesus. You had to have met Jesus, right?
Right.
Paul never met Jesus. He met him through a psychedelic experience that he claims that he's an apostle.
Who's to say that he didn't meet him?
I don't know everything.
Yeah, I met God a couple times.
I feel like I have too.
Yeah.
Well,
It was funny
you've
because
also
one of
had
the
near-death experiences.
Oh, sure, yeah. But one of the times, God was Steve Jones.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course
So,
he is.
I
That's
feel-
fucking perfect.
I feel like I've met God.
I saw him walking down the street like a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like 80 yards away. And I was walking down the street here, and I was like, that's fucking Steve Jones. And I was like, he walked by me, and I didn't like, there's not many people that do that to me.
Right.
Like Mark Maron and him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if that's about it, maybe. He's like the coolest human being that's ever existed.
You go up, if you see him again, say, I'm friends with your stepbrother, Geoff.
That'll get me in. Fuck, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stepbrother.
Yes.
Steady.
I follow him on everything.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah. Have you read the book?
Which one?
The Lonely Boy?
No, I haven't gotten to that one. No.
It's pretty great.
Is
Yeah.
it?
Apparently, they're going to make. I think it's Guy Ritchie. Like they're going to make a
yeah.
a short a series out of it.
That's
Yeah.
such a great idea.
Yeah.
Dude, Terry Date would always have cool stories about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like he knew I was obsessed, so he'd be like, apparently they'd be on like he'd help on like a Buck Cherry album, or like whatever album Terry was recording. He'd like do guitars on, co-produce something, and Terry would always be on the phone with like a call with Steve and the label and him, and anytime it would be Steve's turn to talk, he would reveal that he's like shitting. So he just like start hearing this like massive like farting and shit.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry, that's me. I can't hear. That's funny. My wife will be like,
too?
"Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
me too.
Symbols."
Dude, for real.
There was a time. This will just be the last Steve Jones thing that I was one of the first people that had a cell phone that I knew.
Was it
Because
the Bic?
what? No, it was like a little.
The Motorola Flip?
No, it was before flips. It was a Samsung or. Oh no, it was Nokia. It's Nokia. The little, whatever. And I got it because, like, the first New American Shame tour, I was the only one with a phone. The tour manager didn't have a phone. But later on, after that, I got Steve to record my outgoing voicemail.
Oh,
This is Steve Jones. Geoff can't come to the phone right now. Leave a message.
that's fun.
I sent it to Dick Rossetti, but he lost it, and that's the only. So
Dude, that's a flex. Talk about that. That's
pretty cool.
Dude, I got a pager just so I could leave an outgoing message.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Do you
Pagers.
remember those?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My when I got this pager, and I was about 18. It was also the time I met my best friend. He's this crazy actor, and he's the first non-Christian friend I ever had in my life.
Excuse me.
And he had the code to my pager, so he'd constantly call and change
The
the
outgoing.
message. So one time I got a message on the pager from my pastor, and there was just this very pregnant pause, like a long pause. And he's like, "Hey, you might want to change that outgoing message." And that's all. I knew I had like youth group that night. I was supposed to do something, but that's all he said. I was like, "What the fuck?" So, what the fudge? Probably back then. So I call and listen to my message, and my best friend, he's like, "So I was making out with my sister the other day, and I realized I haven't brushed my teeth in 4 days. No one said a thing."
That's fantastic.
No fucking idea how long that was up there.
That's awesome. What's it called when you get a hold of someone's Facebook page and you drop you do like, or you post on someone's page, this is the greatest guy ever, and post a picture of yourself or something.
I have no idea.
I don't know what maybe it doesn't have a name, but that's what you were. This was a predecessor to that.
Oh, dude, if we, but I have more stories from that friendship than I do from touring, because we were sober as fuck, and I was like really Christian, so we had unlimited energy and a video camera, and we used to like get like, so my family owned this latte stand. It was by a high school and a middle school, and so the traffic in the morning was insane. So we also had worked at the street farm, so we had a Santa suit. So my buddy Brandon would wear this Santa suit every December, and I'd have a video camera, and we'd film. We called it When Santas Attack. So he would just, whenever he saw a kid we knew, like that would buy coffee from us, he would just run like a velociraptor through traffic and just like jump full clip and tackle them into this field.
When Santas attack.
And it would always be like, oh, we have like 100 of them. And like, yeah, it would always be like when there's a full fucking school bus of kids, and they're always like Santa, Santa. Right. And then they see him like, they're all like, crying, and we felt bad about that part. But
it's like the shot. It's like the part in Napoleon Dynamite where the school bus is going by and the guys get the shotgun and they're like, bam! Ah! Ah!
So funny. Yeah, we would make so suits of cardboard armor. Because my mom had all this cardboard for the store. Then we'd go into like Fred Meyer and just beat the fuck out of each other.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, I was sober shit,
Yeah, sober shit.
Later on, I'd do all this stuff on drugs in life, and it was much more fun.
Was it? Was it really? I don't know. Was it really? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe a little.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot more fun. It might have been more fun, only because it was new. But I don't know. Beating the shit out of each other in public is always pretty funny.
I think I grew up real weird, man.
Did you ever play that game where you're walking down the mall with someone and you just, as you're about to go by someone else, you like that's coming in the opposite direction, you just gonna give them a nudge and push them into the person?
No, but I played you fucking introduced me to the plate game.
What's the plate game?
Where you're fucking stand in line, like after fucking setting up all the gear and like sound checking, and you finally got your fucking plate of food, and you're all like, thank God I finally get to sit down to this. And you're like, hey, buddy, just slap it out of your hand on the ground.
I did that?
Oh, wait, that was Squires.
I would never do that.
Yeah,
Food's
that was
too important,
Squires.
man. Jesus, I would never. Fucking Squires. No, man, I would not do that.
That, to be honest, it's horrible when it happens to you, but when you get to do it to them, it's the best.
That just screams hazing.
It's fucking Squires.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, he was a Marine,
Actually, Squires helped me a lot. He helped me stop drinking.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. We've shared a lot of those Rock-a-Roki gigs were like a lot of travel, and I was like, it's weird when you go from playing in like cool bands to playing this weird corporate band, but you're making like money, and like every gig is like 1,000 fucking people in front of you, and you hate every moment of it, but you're like getting better, and like. Yeah. It's just like I was like,
yeah.
You were there. You remember? Do you remember?
It was my fault.
Remember when we got sushi every Monday night?
Every Monday. Yeah. Dude. Love that.
And then you play a show to like 1,300 people every Monday. Get free sushi.
Yeah, it was good. After I was sick and couldn't count to 4. That was that's pretty much what got me back, is like having to play to a click every night, or every time I sat down I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to worry about keeping time. The time was kept for me. That was really, and George was the one that, to his credit, he totally saw that a mile away. He's like, oh, you need to do this.
It's really it's hard out there for a pimp, right? When you're trying to play music. You are you're working all the time. If you're not learning a song, because you got to play for it. You're writing a song. You got to keep your counter full. And the cool thing about your drumming is people dance. I'm so fucking blessed in my life with drummers. I know like 8 of you guys that are like and you guys have taught me everything I know about this stuff. But like, I've been in a lot of bands, and there's a lot of bands where like the drummer's playing. It's like. No one wants to move. No one wants to move at all.
No
and like
swing.
yeah, it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, but that, and I joined Rockaroki because Rouse pulled me up on stage with you guys, and
Rouse never did Rock Rookie.
No, this is, you got Loaded was playing with like Queensryche at this, like at the Soto.
Oh, the Christmas.
Yeah.
Cast everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had like, whenever I got an opportunity, like that Vendetta Red shit, like I just stayed up until I knew the songs. I was always kind of at the front of my knowledge. Like when I joined my first band, I could only play Semi-Charmed live. I didn't know how to play guitar. Like I was writing my own songs, and I couldn't really play guitar. And you guys did that. You guys would do Purple Rain.
Oh, right.
And so I didn't know how to play a B flat actually at that time. And so Rouse pulls me up on stage, and it was like Gilby, you guys, and I took Duff's guitar, and then like we were cycling through like we were like
the songs.
Yeah, we'd like playing all you play like a couple beats, and we got to Purple Rain, and I fucked that chord up, and Duff goes, "Whoa!" And we switched songs quick. He like boop covered me, but it was like this, like I was like, oh. And that's why I joined Rockaroki. I'm like, I gotta learn these 1,000 fucking songs, and then maybe I'll be good.
It was definitely, it was funny. George would say, he would get people to play drums. He's like, the reason you're so good at this is you don't care. You're not afraid. You're not afraid to scribble. All you gotta, I would get to the point where I'd say, Pete, how does this song start? And is there an ending? That's all I care about. Who starts it and how does it end?
This weird band that you got us all in, which was great because it like paid all the bills. Like,
dude, it was such
paid all the bills. I did it for 9 years, but it's called Rockaroki. It's a live karaoke band. So there's words on the screen. There's 1,000 songs in the book. So to be in the band, there's no charts.
Songs.
You got to learn all the songs. Yeah, you just learn them all.
Did you do the casino ones up at Snoqualmie? When it was the King?
That's where my eating. That's why I only eat one meal a day now. Is because it's like I'll just wait till the buffet.
Right. So was there, so that Sunday when it was King Crab?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't a regular. They would. That's how Squires and I cut our teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we learned all the shit.
Yeah, my when I first started, I had the Jazz Bones gig, and then the 2 nights at Snoqualmie, Tuesday and Sunday. And Sunday was you got food tickets both nights, and Sunday was King Crab all you can eat. And I'm just like, I would get there 3 hours early, and just sit there and just like
yeah. And then you get all the fucking top shelf whiskey you can drink, and you can smoke cigarettes, and
there's cigars in there.
It's like it's like a 5-hour set, but if I remember right, it was like
you got long breaks too.
You got long breaks, and you got paid.
Oh, we got.
I mean, I fucking bought a house, so
yeah, it was good money.
Yeah.
Thanks, George. Thanks
George.
Thanks for helping us get from A to B.
Well, like there's this thing too with that 10,000 hour rule, and it's like I think I've done over 1,000 gigs with Tiana.
Mm-hmm.
She's like a sister, like Esther and her are like, I know them way too much. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like really how long you sit in silence like with someone because you've already said everything, and like on that path, there's so many spots where I would leave a gig and call you or Squires and be like, I fucked up, don't stop believing. Like, I'm 28 years old. How can I still, like, I'm 32 years old. How the fuck? Like, I've played this song 900 times now. I've bought a house off this stupid ass song, but like, Jesus Christ, you just like, the lows of that.
Right, because
like
it's
so.
Because the highs aren't. There's like the highs are like flatlined at like I got paid and I got to eat.
Fed. I have a car and a house.
So that like just barely covering bare necessity is the high. So the lows are like these valleys, like the Mariana Trench or something. Where it's like, motherfucker, I screwed up. I missed the fucking fill on Don't You Forget About Me, Fuck! I love that fill. It's the only thing I look forward to all night, and I botch it. I fucking fumble it.
For real? real. We were doing, like that. Also, George, like, I would play bass in any weird band. He's like, hey, it's $1,000. You want to play in this disco band? I'm like, oh, guess I'm learning bass.
Totally.
You want to play piano in this?
I think that's where Squire learns. Squire's learned to play bass, and now he's just fucking phenomenal.
He was always good at bass, dog.
Was he?
Yeah, man.
Oh, I think he wasn't as good as he is now.
He's
He's not very good at anything.
I'm gonna fucking tell this. Now we're branching off. I was gonna get to something else, but fuck that. So Squires, to keep ourselves entertained at those casino gigs and shit, we play all. You were there for so many of them, but we'd continue those games like draw a race, and like, like there was this really like beautiful human. I loved him. His name was, actually, I'm not gonna say his name, but he would come every week. Because those people get addicted to that band because you get to sing with a band, so you're on stage. So they come every fucking week. They dress up. They bring friends. Like, so we called them patients. They love it, And he always sang, "Do you really want to hurt me?" He was obviously a closeted homosexual. He had been outed a couple times by other gay men on that stage for being a homosexual,
and still wasn't rocking it.
Didn't seem like he was comfortable with making it public yet, right? So, and,
in his own time, man, in his own time.
Right. If you're doing a lot of rock and roll gigs, it's probably because your original project is not making much money. So Squires and I were doing a lot of rock and roll gigs, so it was a rough patch. We'd play that like, okay, how much money would it take, for you to have a sexual encounter with that person?
Oh.
And it would be like homeless people that come on stage, like a homeless woman, or it was not gender specific. It was
it's not where I saw this going, man.
Well, this is Squires.
This is not. Let's get high and read the Bible material. This is
well, we might edit it out, but we're not going to edit this. We're not fucking editing anything.
No. That's the sort of shit you end up talking about when you're hanging out with Squires. Hey, how much money would it take to have sex with that hobo? That's base level with him. That's like where it starts.
Dude, yeah, the text, that's why the shit that he says to me is like.
And let me be clear, that's my guy.
Dude, that's my guy. We were all around. I was having a particularly rough couple years. Yeah. We were at a gig, we're all around, and I'm talking about my dad, and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And I remember we had all of us kind of talked about our dads, we're like, we're in the, hardness of life, like, and Squires hasn't said shit, he's just eating. And I'm like, Squires, what about your dad? And he just looks up, he goes, my dad. And then he just keeps eating. It's like,
not alleged.
Like, okay.
Not alleged. Convicted.
I probably shouldn't be complaining about this shit.
There's always a perspective.
Right?
There's always.
Right, so if we edit it, we edit it.
Thanks for that.
If we edit it, we edit it. But he goes, how much money? And I think about it seriously. I'm broke as shit, right? And so I was like 500,000. No, I think I said 400,000. And I was like 400,000. And I asked him, I'm like, how much for you? And he, like, literally zero hesitation. He goes, $500.
He's just being honest.
Yeah.
You're being you're being like
I was like, I want to buy a pirate ship. Yeah, I want to invest.
You're being figurative. He's like,
I
no,
want to work so hard.
No, I want gas on the way home, and I want to stop at 13 coins.
Slim Jim, orange juice.
Right.
Maybe some Cool Ranch Doritos with the
right, yeah. Some sour worms, I'm worried about today and tomorrow, baby. I don't care about a pirate ship. I'm not trying to get rich off this transaction. Just trying to get to tomorrow.
I once, so like I said, I didn't start getting high till much later in life, right? Because it actually helps me with all my weird ADHD shit. But I had this iPad, and we were doing all these fly dates at the time. So I was on so many planes with you guys, with Squires and you, that I couldn't handle it with anxiety, so I'd eat edibles to get really high, and then I always end up leaving shit on the plane. So I left an iPad once, but on that iPad I
remember that.
Yeah, I'd never told him this, but I had made drawn on the iPad a sketchbook of stick figures in different stages, and the book was called Things Uncle Mike Has Told Me. And it was just all the shit that he had said to me. And like one time he was like, "Hey, Leif, you know how I know we're going to have sex tonight?"
like you and he?
Yeah, he just looks at me. He's like, "Hey, Leif, you know how I know we're going to have sex tonight?" And I'm like, "How?" "Because I'm bigger than you." It's like, there's a million of these. So I think it would get him canceled. So we'll probably have to
because you're awake. And you know what? On that note, on buddy rape in the hotel, I gotta go.
Yeah, that sounds like where we hit the mark.
Let's get high. Let's get high.
I'm so grateful that you're here.
Let's get high.
That's all I'm saying. Thanks. It means a lot.
Let's get high.
I didn't know when I started this out if it would be interesting at all, but I've struggled with a lot of this stuff for a long time, and to be honest, there's no spot to talk about it because everyone's already got their mind made up, and having any type of productive conversation on those dogmatic ideological grounds is usually impossible. So I've just been quiet for a long time, but this has been rad, and the messages are rad, and I appreciate you all. We'll see you next week. Smooches.
Let's get high.